Welcome to rSlash AmITheButthole, where OP kidnaps an infant. Am I the butthole for making my wife think that our son was missing? My wife has a horrible habit that I discovered 2 months ago. We were ordering lunch on the Subway app, and I told her to pick the location that has a drive-thru. That way, we don't have to go inside and take the baby out of the car just to clip him back inside a few minutes later. She told me it's not a big deal to leave the baby in the car, to run in and pick it up really fast. I had no idea she ever did this. I told her that I wasn't comfortable with her leaving him in the car alone, even for 1 minute. And she told me that she's been doing it since he was born, and it's always been fine. She told me she does it at restaurants, the post office, pharmacy, etc. I was floored. We don't live in a horrible area, but it's also not super safe either. I told her to never do this again. She told me she never stopped to think about the potential dangers and that she would stop doing it. Well, yesterday, as I was driving home from my brother's house, I spotted her car at the gas station near our place. It was parked in a spot up front and not at a pump, so I figured she stopped in to grab some snacks, which we like to do. I decided to stop, go in, say hi, and get some food, and I pulled in and parked next to her. However, when I got there, I was furious to find our son in his car seat. The car wasn't even locked. I don't know what came over me, but in that moment, I decided to take my son and put him into my car. I've got a car seat in my car too. I then drove to the other side of the gas station parking lot and waited for my wife to come out. It took 6 minutes for her to appear. When she saw that he was gone, she looked stunned for a second and then started to frantically look around and cry. I didn't let this go on for long. After I saw her pull her phone out, presumably to call 911, that's when I pulled my car around to her. I parked, got out, walked around to my son's door, opened it, and showed him to her. She looked extremely relieved, but that quickly turned to anger with her asking me why I took him and why I did that to her. I told her she had to learn her lesson and that she promised to stop leaving him in the car and that what she did was extremely irresponsible. It was so easy for me to pull up and just take him. No one else at the gas station even noticed. So if he really was taken, there would have been no help and it would have 100% been her fault. She then called me cruel and psychotic and tried taking our son out of my car into hers. I said no and that I would be driving him home and left. She came home not much later, but ignored me for the rest of the day. She acknowledged me today, saying that she wants an apology, and I said absolutely not, and that she's the one who should be saying sorry. She's been guilt-tripping me for the rest of the day, saying no mother should ever experience the fear that I put her through. Did I go too far? Am I the butthole? Okay, so, people steal babies. They do. People steal cars. My grandma got her car stolen, actually. So she leaves her unattended baby in an unlocked car, and she thinks that she's the victim here? Down in the comments, we have this post from Scramblies. There was an incident in San Francisco a while ago where someone stole a car while its owner was doing food delivery without noticing 2 kids in the back. They were missing for like a whole day or 2. Thankfully, they were found okay, but geez, this is how things like this happen, not the butthole. And then like on top of the fact that this is just like straight up child neglect, child abuse, OP, you also set like very clear boundaries. You said, I'm not comfortable with this thing that you're doing to my son. Please stop it. You were respectful, you set clear boundaries, and she told you that she would stop, and then she did it the next day. So on top of being a terrible mother, she's also a liar who doesn't respect her husband's boundaries. So OP, you get an easy 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your wife gets 5 out of 5 buttholes. I will admit, in her defense, that doing that prank is really cruel. Like, it is something that no one should have to experience. But like, how else is she gonna learn? Is it harsh? Yeah. Is it necessary? Also, yeah. And then like on top of that, there's also kids dying of heat stroke in cars just because people get delayed or they get distracted or they take too long. This is really messed up, OP. Your wife is wrong here. She is fractally wrong. Am I the butthole for refusing to give my ex-husband's girlfriend part of my inheritance? I'm a 58-year-old woman, and I was married to a man for 16 years, and we had a son. After my son was killed by a drunk driver, we couldn't support each other. We divorced 6 years ago. I moved to a different state, and we haven't spoken since then. About a month ago, I was contacted by the executor of his will, and I was informed of his death. His latest will was written about a year ago. When I went in, I was told that he left me everything except for about $10,000 that he left his girlfriend. They were together for about 2 years and lived in the same house. Now, his girlfriend is demanding that I surrender all of the inheritance to her. She says that I wasn't the one who was there for him when he was drowning in his grief, that I moved on while he was still feeling guilt over the death of our son. I've refused so far, but I still feel a bit guilty since I'm planning to sell the house. This is our marital house. I couldn't bear to stay in that house after our son's death. So, as a result, she'll have to look for new housing, and she can't afford to because she doesn't have a job. Also, I make a good living, and I own my house outright because I inherited it from my parents. So, am I the butthole? Well, OP, the thing is, she did get her inheritance. She got $10K because that's how much your ex-husband decided to give her. She can be upset by that, which is totally understandable. In fact, it's sympathetic. If I were in her shoes, I'd be upset too. But fundamentally, it was your ex-husband's money, it was your ex-husband's property. If he wants to give it to you, or his girlfriend, or charity, or some random person on the street, or hell, even the drunk driver who killed your son, then that's his right to do so. So obviously, OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. But to be honest, I don't really know if I can justify giving the girlfriend a butthole score. Like, I'm trying to imagine, if I were dating someone, and I was with them for 2 years, we lived together, and then that person dies, and their inheritance is to give the money to their ex that they had before me, then yeah, I'd be super pissed. Does that mean that over this past 2 years, my partner has been fantasizing, reminiscing about her ex instead of enjoying her life with me? Like, that seriously stings. That really sucks. I almost want to give, the husband a butthole score. Because, yeah, he's completely justified in, giving out the will inheritance however he wants to. But, I don't know, this feels kind of a little bit disrespectful to his current partner. I don't know, this is kind of like a gray area. What do you guys think? Does the girlfriend deserve a butthole score? Does the husband deserve a butthole score? I think what I'm gonna do is give everyone across the board 0 out of 5 buttholes. The way that everyone's responding to the situation is somewhat understandable, even though it's probably not the ideal situation. Am I the butthole for refusing to sign anything while my eyes are blindfolded? Ever since I got out of the hospital for chronic problems, my husband has been introducing me to some games every evening. One game used to be about doing things while my eyes were blindfolded. It involved puzzles, Rubik's cubes, shaped objects, etc. We would take turns doing it just for entertainment. Just a couple of days ago, he's been trying to get me to sign some papers while wearing a blindfold. I refuse to do it because he never lets me take a look at what I'm signing before or after. He says that he was just trying to see if I could leave the same signature every time I sign, but I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable. I told him that I don't want to play this game unless and until he shows me the papers first, and he said never mind then and stopped bringing it up. Last night, he tried to convince me to give it a try and even volunteered to go first. I asked if he was going to show me what I was going to sign, and he made a face and said no. He said those are the rules and I should respect them. I refused, and he kept going on about how I keep acting worried and suspicious for no reason. He said that I clearly don't trust him, and he was hurt by finding that out now after everything we've been through. We had an argument, and I told him to drop it and not bring it up again, period. He was mad despite saying that it was no big deal. He was obviously upset with me and kept talking about how I don't trust him and that it was out of line to assume or suspect anything from him like this. I might be paranoid, but I couldn't help it. I do kind of think that I was a butthole to him after he stood by my side when my own family didn't even visit. This is super suspicious. I am dying to know what that contract is. I would guess it's either life insurance papers and he's planning on murdering you because you have chronic health conditions. That way he gets out of the marriage and he gets a fat payday. Or much more likely, it's probably just divorce papers that are very, very favorable to him. Like he gets all the property, he gets all the money, he doesn't have to pay alimony, he doesn't have to pay for lawyers, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, OP, your instincts are 100% correct here. I firmly believe that whatever it is, your husband is up to no good. Super fishy, OP. If I were you, I would search the entire house top to bottom to try to find those papers and see what it is he's trying to get you to sign. Oh no! Okay, down in the comments, Mercator says, "Not the butthole. Ask to see those papers. They exist. Do not take no for an answer. If you see those papers, you might not decide to divorce them. If you don't see them, get a divorce." Then OP replies, "I did ask, but I didn't see anything on the papers because he said they're just blank papers." Okay, well, obviously he's planning on just putting those papers into the printer and printing a contract on those papers that already have your signature on them. This guy thinks he's clever. And admittedly, it is a semi-clever plan. It's just super, super scummy, super scammy and scummy. Don't fall for it, OP. This guy's trying to pull a fast one over you. He's going to write a contract around a signature. Am I the butthole for not wanting to celebrate my mom on my birthday? I have 3 siblings between the ages of 10 and 18. I'm the oldest 4th sibling at 25. Every year, on every single one of our birthdays, we're expected to celebrate my mom as well, which we've done since we were little. It was taught to me as giving thanks for carrying and giving birth to us, which I'm all for. I'm grateful as we wouldn't be here without her. The issue is, though, it becomes less of our birthday and more of an anniversary for the day that my mom gave birth. Every year on our birthday, our mom gets gifts too. As we get older, we're now expected to get her monetary gifts. Just recently, it was my birthday, and I was gifted some much-needed clothes and dishware for my new apartment. My dad, however, got my mom a new MacBook. My siblings all got my mom gifts too. My youngest brother isn't expected to give much, but my 16-year-old sister and 18-year-old second brother work, so they're expected to give gifts too. My sister pulled me aside before my birthday and said that she was sorry that she couldn't get me much. She got me a sweater, which I love, and that she wanted to get me more, but that our mom was pressuring her to get her a certain necklace. Apparently, my mom had been dropping hints for months, and my sister was worried our mom would be upset and feel underappreciated if she didn't get it. I asked her how much the necklace was, and my sister said it was $300. I honestly lost it on our mom and chewed into her later that afternoon when my mom opened her gifts after me. I think she's ridiculous for even wanting my sister to spend so much money on a gift. My mom started crying, and my dad kicked me out. My mom won't answer my calls, but my aunt, my mom's sister, called and said that I was a piece of garbage for not respecting my mother, and that I'm a selfish, narcissistic child for being jealous of the gifts that my mom got. I thought that I was in the right, but now, I don't know. It's been over 2 weeks, and my mom won't answer my calls. She's been posting inspirational quotes on Facebook about letting go of the toxicity in your life. How blood doesn't equal family, and how hard it is to be a mother. Several family members are replying to the posts, and are very obviously directing vague comments at me about being a horrible daughter. Now, I don't know what to think because of how many people are on her side. OP, this behavior from your mom is very, very unusual. I don't think I've ever heard of this. It's selfish. It's weird, it's unfair, it's imbalanced. Like, a person's birthday is their day. It's the one day of the entire year that they get to claim as being special for them. And your mom stole it from all 4 of her children. Like, you guys didn't ask to be born. She was the one who decided to carry 4 kids. That's her choice. And to make matters worse, there's already a day for that. Mother's Day. Your mom, OP, sounds like she might be a narcissist. I would say maybe check out rSlash Raised by Narcissists and maybe go to therapy, because I have a sneaking suspicion that this is just the tip of the iceberg, that if we sat you down and got you to write more stories about your mother, then we would see many more red flags. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your mom 2.5 out of 5 buttholes, and I'm giving your other family members who support her 2 out of 5 buttholes. Also, I can't help but wonder, I don't have any evidence to back this up or anything, but I'd be very, very curious to know if your mom gets her mom gifts on her birthday. Because if she doesn't, then that would really seal the deal that, yeah, she's probably a narcissist. If she does get her mom gifts on her own birthday, then yeah, at least she's consistent. At least she's not a hypocrite, but she could still be a butthole who's a narcissist as well. But at least she'll be an internally consistent narcissist. Am I the butthole for siding with my boyfriend after he punished my son for asking for money to watch his step-siblings? I'm a 36-year-old woman, and I've been with my boyfriend, who's 41, for 2 years. He has 3 kids, aged 6, 12, and 4, while I have a 16-year-old son. The other day, my 12-year-old stepson fell off the stairs and injured his ankle. His dad and I had to get him to the hospital and needed someone to stay with the kids while we were there. My boyfriend told my son to skip his workday and stay with and watch his stepbrothers. When we returned, my son asked my boyfriend to pay him for babysitting his kids. I admit that my son doesn't have the best relationship with his stepdad or step-siblings, but my boyfriend and I were shocked by this. My son explained that he had to skip a workday, which cost him money, and he asked my boyfriend to pay him for his time. My boyfriend scolded him harshly and told him that staying home with his stepbrothers isn't babysitting and he deserves no money for it. Plus, that skipping one day of work won't do much harm. But my son disagreed and kept arguing with my boyfriend, saying that his stepbrothers aren't his responsibility. My boyfriend ended up punishing him and taking away all of my son's electronics, as well as canceling his birthday, which is months away. My son fought back, talking about how unfair this was, and he asked me to get involved. I sided with my boyfriend because I really didn't appreciate how my son used this family emergency to his advantage, and he thought that he would get money out of helping family out. My son didn't like where I stood in this conflict and accused me of favoring my stepkids to stay on my boyfriend's good side, all while ignoring the mistreatment towards him. I put an end to the argument, and he's become silent ever since. He's even refused to eat with us or sit with us. Am I the butthole for agreeing with my boyfriend to punish my son? Okay, so they're not his responsibility though. They're not even his stepbrothers because you guys are just boyfriend-girlfriend. He's not a babysitter. He's an 18-year-old. He's an adult legally. He's got his own life. He's got a job. And you expect him to just put his life on hold because you guys need a babysitter? And so, what if he wasn't available? You would hire a babysitter, right? For the emergency, and you would pay the babysitter, wouldn't you? I think that what your son requested was very reasonable. And then to punish him for making a very reasonable request is even worse because really he didn't do anything wrong. And then he's getting punished just because your boyfriend got his feelings hurt, I guess. And he has to have his birthday party taken away because he wants compensation for his day of work. Okay. Your son is completely 100% reasonable, logical, justified here. You, however, you and your boyfriend both deserve a butthole score. I'm giving you both 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. And on top of this, why was it even necessary for you both to go to the hospital to take the kid? Couldn't your boyfriend have gone to the hospital and you stayed to watch the kids? Why'd you have to call your son and pull him out of work to watch the kids? It doesn't even make any sense. You could have watched the kids, a babysitter could have watched the kids, piled all the kids into a car and taken them with you to the hospital. I remember when I was very young, my brother hurt his toe and he had to go to the hospital and, I went with him. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole? And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.